What's up guys? So in today's video you learn how to build this countdown timer. And in case if you don't know what a countdown timer is, essentially like it says, just a countdown timer to when you want to launch a product or when you want to sell a product, as well as when you want to do a promo. So as you can see, it's working fine, and we have some social links right here. And this design is from Frontendmentor. So in case if you don't know what Frontendmentor is, it's basically I call it a platform where you as a front-end developer can just go through the different challenges and try to just code them to improve your front-end skills rather than just watching YouTube videos. But don't click off this because I just said that. Alright, if we go back, I've already downloaded it, and you can see said I've already started challenge. But if this is your first time, you should just be able to download it directly. Okay, that being said, let's just go right into the video. Alright guys, so I have VS Code open and I already have some codes already templated out, so I will just run through everything as well as some files I have right here. So I brought in the image we'll be using, and if you download it, you'll see think 3 extra or 4 extra images. I just decided that I wanted to use the font awesome icons, which was why I just imported or brought in this link, because you're going to see something like the Pinterest.svg, and you can as well work with that if you want to. And I guess I didn't mention in the intro earlier on, the link to this code will be in the description below. So if you go through the app, it's quite empty. The styles, I just brought in the colors we'll be using as well as the fonts too, and I got the colors from here in case if you're wondering. You can see that they said they provided the required social icons. Like I said, you see them right here, but you can as well work with different photo some icons, which we'll be using in this video. So that's about it. Let's just go through the Figma file, not necessarily a Figma file, but just the PNG file I just brought in on Figma. So essentially we'll have the BG, which is this right here. So this is one image, and this one you are seeing right here is another image on its own. Then we'll just try and wrap this inside a container. We'll try and wrap everything here inside the container. I just make this red. So we'll try and wrap this inside the container. I think we just wrap everything inside the container, then we just position this because this will be around here by default. So cool. Now that we have that in mind, let's just, what did I do right here? Okay, let's just scale this down. All right, so I already have the code up and running using live server. So in case if you want to follow along and you don't have that, you can just go to your extensions tab and look for live server. It basically allows you to not refresh anytime you make changes to your code. So, and it's this one right here. All right, so I already brought in this script as well on the app.js. So let's just create a container, and inside that container we'll create a count down container inside it. What is going to make sense? So the count down container is essentially this right here, while the container it's holding this what we just call as well as this itself. So let's go back and say, I think they called it we are launching soon. I'll cross check that in a bit. We are launching soon. So let's just check. Okay, we are not this one. Okay, so inside this we'll create another div with a class countdown. This should be count down, and inside this will be the countdown is essentially this one right here, and as you can see it's into different sections: days, hours, minutes, and seconds. So let's just quickly do that and see day should be, give this a class of count and a class again of title, and inside that title we just give this an h2 and say, let's just call this 10 and class of a day, and under this, not in the title, outside the title div, we'll create a p tag and just say days right here. So we'll have this at the top and this at the bottom, as it should right here. So now we have for day, we just copy this and do the same for the minutes, the seconds, and hours. So let's just say days. I think hours was the next. Yeah, so minutes, then this should be second. So for the hour, we just say there should be hour. Can just swap this for 20 hours. There should be hours as well. And for the minutes, here should be minutes. Say 30 minutes. There should be minutes, and there should be like 5 seconds. So there should be seconds, and there should be second. I think, yeah. Cool. So outside this one, so let's just comment this out and say there should be what the countdown. Then this should be for the footer. So just use the footer tag and just give it a class of footer. And inside it, like I said, this was social link. So create a URL and give it a class of social links. And inside there will have an li, 3 of them. Then we'll have an a tag inside it. So in case if you don't know what it is, it's just Emmet abbreviation, as you can see right here. So if I hit tab now, I should get a quick boilerplate. So this should be tag, and inside it we'll bring in the fourth awesome icon. So the first one will be I, then the class should be FAB. This will be for Facebook. Say Facebook as F. So the next one will be for bring it in. The next one will be for, I think it's for Pinterest. Let's check. Yeah, Pinterest, then Instagram. So Pinterest is FAB, FA, Pin, interest dash p, and that's coming in. Then lastly is for Instagram, so let's say the class should be FAB FA Instagram, and this is coming in right now. All right, cool. I think that's all for the HTML. Let's just head over to styling with our CSS. Alright guys, so for the CSS, we'll essentially just reset everything. Let's just do that at the top right here and say margin should be 0, padding should be 0, box sizing should be border box. This will get rid of all the default margin and padding. So next we'll just get rid of text underline for the A tags. So I normally call this global stars. So, and we'll still display it or inline block because A tags are displayed inline by default. Then we'll also need to get rid of the bullet points. I'm typing bullet points, so this should be list type of none. Then we'll grab the body tag or the body selector and set the font family to red hat text. Then the fallback font should be sans serif, so the font is coming in. Then we'll give it a height of 100 VH, so to take the entire height of the report. Then we'll give this a background, not background color, because we'll be adding this image right here. So we'll say background, then we'll add the color of darker blue, and we'll bring in, before we bring in the image, let's just see what we have so far. And let's just set the color to white, so we'll set the text properly. Okay, now let's bring in the image itself. So we say URL and just go to the images part and say BG stars. So as you can see, you can see the image coming in. Then we'll do some default style for the image. So we say background repeat should be no repeat. The background size should be cover. Then the background position should be center. Then we need to as well center everything that is right here. So to do that, we'll essentially say if we use display flex, so we say display flex, then align item should be center, justify content should be center. So everything is centering the way we want. Now we'll grab the container, which is the one holding everything, and say the container text should be in the center, padding inline should be 1 rem. So in case if you don't know what padding inline is the CSS logical property. So essentially you are saying the padding left and the padding right should be 1 rem. Then we'll give this a max width of 1440 pixels. I think that was on the start guide. Yeah, so for desktop, then we'll get the count down container and we'll set the same font size. See, let me go through. Okay, let's target the H1 first, and let's give this one a font size of 1.5 rem. Let's make it smaller. Yeah, So text should be uppercase. Then I think there's some letter spacing. So letter spacing should be, let's say, 2 pixels. Let's just make this 3 pixels. So this must not be pixel perfect as a design, but we'll try as much as possible to replicate it. Then let's add the margin bottom of 2rem. Okay. But as well, this will be responsive, so we'll add more margin as we get more bigger, or as the screen gets more bigger. So for the countdown itself, we'll display it flex as well, so that this should stack by side. Then we'll align items to center. Justify content should be center as well. So for the title, which is this right here, so grab the title, we just say countdown title, title, and say position should be relative, because we'll be adding this middle line right here. So position relative. Background color should be, I wrote this one down because I couldn't see the exact color while I was building it. So I guess 2C44. Yeah, this was what was closest. Then let's add the border radius of like 0.2 cool. Then another thing to do is to add the box shadow. We'll say 0.4 pixel RGBA. So this should be 0. The green should be 0. The blue should be 0. Alpha should be, let's say, 3. So essentially the box shadow is this right here. So let's make it a high number. Okay, it's coming in. Then let's just add the margin bottom. So this, let's just say 1.5 rem. So down, let's reduce it to 1.3 rem. Cool. Then we'll add the fixed width of 70 pixels, a height of 70 pixels. Okay, cool. Don't worry, if this is not central, we'll center that in a bit. Then while we are there, let's just add the line. So to add the line, say we give this position of relative, what we have to do right now is to just get the countdown title, and let's just say after should be, give this a position of absolute. Top should be 50% because we want it to be at the middle. And while we're there, we should just set the content to an item string so that we'll be able to see the line. Then the height should be, what should we use? Let's just say 4 pixels. Just say 1 pixels first. I might reduce it later. Then the left should be 0. The width should be 100%. Then the background color should be the RGB again, and this should be 0.3. So the line is coming in. So if we make this bigger, you see it right here. Let's leave it at 1. Let's leave it at 1. Okay. So what we have to do right now is to grab the H2, which is this right here. So say countdown title and grab the H2. Let's give it the color of the soft red. Let's also increase the font size for now to like 0.7 rem. Okay, cool. Then let's add the line height of 70 pixels to match with this one in order for us to center it. So if you see that it's at the middle right now, then we'll also add a set liner. We've done that. Let's also make this relative because we'll be adding this little circle right here. So for us to be able to do that, we'll get the countdown and the title and the H2, say add the before pseudo selector and say the content should be empty now, but depends. You can also add some things inside if you want that particular thing to show. As you can see showing right here. So the position should be absolute. Let's give this, for position it left or top, let's just give this a width of let's just say 9 pixels, height of 9 pixels, and we can't see it because we don't have a background color. So let's bring the background color off, it's darker blue, so you can see it right here. And let's also give this a border radius of 50%. Okay, so what we have to do now, let's make the top to be like let me just say 43 pixels. Okay, as well make it 50 pixels. Let's see. Okay, it's spanning down, so we'll leave that 43. Then the left should be 5 pixels. Let's make it -5. Okay, cool. Now why this is overflowing, let's just add an overflow of hidden right here, because in order for this not to come out. Okay, cool. But now we also need, because this is hiding as well, we also need to add a after class to this. So let's just quickly do that and just say, oh, let's also make this one, let's try a z index of 1. We should also add a z index of 1 here too. So when we copy this one and add the after right here, so for the after class, nothing should change apart from this value right here. So should have it right here, so it's coming through. What we just need to do is just to add the space around it. So we'll get the countdown and the count. So the count is essentially this count right here. So we'll target everything apart from the last child, which is this pseudo selector here. So we say the margin right should be 1 rem. So apply 1 rem apart from the last one. Alright, cool. So this is looking good. For the p tag right here, we just get the countdown and the count and target the p selector, and also give this a text transform of uppercase. Also add letters spacing of, let's just do the 3 pixels too. Okay, cool. So we'll drop the font size to like 7 rem because it's actually too big. Yeah, so we'll drop it. Okay, then we'll give this a color of this grayish blue. Then I just add a font weight of 500 to make it bold. Okay, cool. So it's time for us to settle these social links right here. Like I said, we created that already, this footer. So let's just target that footer class, and let's first of all give this a background image of this pattern heels. You can see it right here. So we'll also add a background repeat of no repeat, a background size of cover, a background position of center. Okay, but we need at the bottom, as you can see right here, it's at the bottom as well as this text. So, and the image is panning along. So what we need to do is that we just give this a position of absolute. Then we'll set the bottom to 0 and set the left to 0 as well. And in case we are not, since we're not seeing this image, means we have to add a height. So let's just add a height of like 25% in order for us to see the image. So it's right here, and let's just give this one a width of 100%. Now the image is coming through. So even though we open it, the image will span across. So what we need to do now is to style these social links right here. So say footer, guess I call it social links. Yeah, social links. Then we just add a display of flex to 8, give it a line items of center, justify content of center. Also add a gap. Let's just add a gap of like 2 rem. Cool. I think we also need to bump up the font size of each of them. So we'll grab the footer social links and the a tag, give it a color of the same grayish blue. Let's increase the font size to 1.5 rem. Let's add the transition. So transition will be all 0.3 seconds easing out. So since we're adding the transition, we also have to add an overstate to the icon. So let's just change the color and let's add the transform of translate, and let's set this to negative of 5 pixels. So essentially when we hover on it, it should go up negative 5 pixels and the color should change as well. Alright, so this is working nice. Let's just add some styles for the bigger screens. So say media query, and let's just set this one. Let's increase the font size of the H1. I think it was increased right here. It's still small. Okay, we just increase the font size of this H2 right here. So let's just open this now and see. At media, let's start from min width. Let's start from 768 full, from 768 pixels and up. we'll add a countdown, target the countdown rather than target the title. And for the mobile, we set the width of the title to be, what do we say, 70 pixels. So let's just increase that right here. So the width should be like 100, the height should be the same, 100 to, while since that is 100, we also need to get the h2 and also set the line height to be 100 pixels as well. And let's increase the font size to like 3 rem. And I think lastly also add more space to this. Let's bump this to like 1.5 rem. Okay, I think this is much better. Okay, so this is good, but let's just scale this down and bring this back in. So this is working fine, but it's actually not functional. So let's add some logic to make it functional. So we head over to our app, and the first thing we have to do is just to create a function, and we essentially have to call that function to run every second. So let's call this function count down, and since this is an arrow function, I don't know what's wrong with me today. Okay, cool. We need to make sure this is working. Let's just log something and say hello, and let's just call the function down right here. So we're getting the message which says hello. In case if you're wondering, seeing what I console log on my VS Code, I'm using an extension called Console Ninja. So it's basically this one by wallaby.js. So it basically saves you the stress of looking at your dev tools, which is not a bad thing, but it's just for things like this, you don't necessarily have to pay on dev tools. So that is working fine. So the first thing we need to do is to create a variable to store the launch date, or the date you want to actually launch your project, which is actually a launch date. So launch date, okay, let's just call this one launch date and set that to a new date. And let's specifically set the date we want to launch it. So let's set this to like 23rd of June 2024. Let's set this to 12 midnight, and let's also add the get time method to this. So we also need to get the present date, and also set this to a new date as well. But this time we won't be explicitly setting a date because we want to get the dates that we are currently in. So we should also append the get time method to this as well. So in case if you are wondering why we're adding the get time method, there are actually few reasons. So one of the first reasons is that the get time method returns a number of milliseconds since January 1st, 1970. So I actually googled that before I started doing this video, and it's called the Unix approach. So it basically provides a precise representation of the date and time down to milliseconds. And when working with milliseconds, it actually allows us for better and more accurate calculations, especially when we are with things like date and time difference, because that's what we're going to be doing in a bit. Another reason is that it makes calculations very easy, because when you have a date and a time represented as a single number, which is milliseconds, when we want to start performing arithmetic operations like divide or times and stuff like that, or make comparison, is actually quite straightforward because we are dealing with a single number. So let me try and console log this out without the get time method. So we say launch date. So as you can see, it's giving us the entire stuff right here. But let's think this is not okay. So I don't know. I do know why this did bring out this. This is what I was expecting. So we need to get this as a single number in milliseconds. So if we add the dot get time method to this, you can see that this is giving to us as a single number. I don't know if that makes sense. So that being said, let's get rid of this one and add it back right here. So all we have to do now is to get the difference between the launch date and the present date. So we can just say difference, or you can actually call this gap. So let's just call this difference and set it to the launch date minus the present date. And this will essentially minus this from this, and the result will be in milliseconds, because we are actually working with milliseconds, not these actual values you are seeing right here. So what we have to do right now is to essentially get the seconds, hours, minutes, and day. So let's just do that. Just say get second, minutes, hour, and day. So essentially to get that, we'll just say second, and we know that 1000 milliseconds makes 1 second. So we set this to this by default. Then for us to get the minute, we're in that 60 seconds makes 1 minute. So actually be 60 times the second, which I think will give us 60,000 milliseconds. So for the hour, actually no, so it will be 60 times the minute. 60 seconds makes 1 minute. Then for the day, say 24 times the hour. Cool. So what we need to do now is to essentially do some arithmetic operations. So the first one is to get the day text, so which is this right here. So essentially say this should be, let's just set it to gap. I'm saying gap, let's just set it to difference. I initially used gap when I was building this before, so it's quite hard to adapt to this. So difference over day. So let's just console log out the day text right here. So this is actually, you can see that we have 31.562, but we don't want to write, we don't want to display 31 point these numbers right here. We just need this first integer. So for us to be able to do that, we have to just wrap this into math.floor. So this method allows us to get the the nearest whole number. So this is what it does. So for the hour test, what we have to do now is to say math the floor, then we'll get the gap, and we get the remainder of the day, and essentially divide it by the hour. So divide the gap over this day right here, which will give us a remainder, because this is actually called modulo. So we get the remainder of what this division gives us and divide it by the hour. Hopefully that makes sense. And if you are wondering why we are using modulus right here and we didn't use modulus right here, it's basically because when calculating stuff like datex, it's quite hard to explain, but I'll try my best. So the reason for not using modulus when calculating stuff like datex is that these are actually the highest time units, so that are being calculated in this kind of patterns, like in terms of countdown timers. So these are the highest time units. So since there is no other larger time unit than day to account for, there is no need to find the remainder. So hopefully that makes sense. So assuming there was something higher than this day right here, we could have added a gap to this to get the remainder. Then we'll now head over to get the minutes, text, and same out the floor, and also do the same thing and set this to minutes, and this should be hour. So for the next one, this should be for the second text. This should be mark the floor, the gap, the minutes, and this should be, you guessed it, it should be second. Okay, so now that we have these all set up, so we just need to essentially display them in our DOM right here. So if we go back to the index file, let's head over to you can see that this is actually the h2 right here with a class of r. So what we just do, there are multiple ways of doing it. We just use the one of the easier method. So we just say add text to the HTML document or DOM. Then we'll say document.query selector, and we'll just target what we want. So this will be for the day. Let me close this out because we have the day class right here. So if we change the text content to whatever the day text is, this should change right now, and this is not working because we essentially, like I said earlier on, it's because we want this to change every millisecond. So what we have to do is to add a set interval method right here and set this to the countdown timer, and it should be able to run every 1000 seconds. And I still don't know why this is not showing up right now. Let's quickly add everything. So this should be for the minute, it should be for the, it should actually be for the hour, it should be for the minute, and this should be for the second. So second text, minute text, and hour text. So we're still not getting anything, and let's see why is that. Is there anything I'm missing right here? Let's make sure. Difference.day. Yeah, like I said, I've been using I used gap when I was in the video, so I just need to just make this difference. I think that should fix it. So it's working right now. So I don't know. Well, let's just refresh again. And I think we just have to like get rid of all this. So we just pop this right directly. Okay. Let's refresh one more time. I mean, there may be a better way to load something up, but this is much better. Alright guys, so there you have it. Hope you learned something from this video. Do well to leave any questions in the comments and corrections as well. And do like the video if you found it helpful, and also share to someone.